Imagine the world's largest animal taking on the world's largest warship. Let's see how many blue whales it would take to sink the USS Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier using 4 creative, over-the-top strategies. Get ready for some jaw-dropping numbers.
Picture this. You're standing next to a blue whale, the largest animal to ever exist on Earth. At up to 30 meters long, it dwarfs everything around it. Its heart alone is the size of a small car, and its tongue weighs as much as an elephant. A single adult human could crawl through its massive arteries. That's how unbelievably huge this creature is. But now, imagine that same blue whale swimming up to the USS Gerald R. Ford, one of the most powerful warships ever built. Suddenly, the whale doesn't seem so big anymore. The carrier stretches over 330 meters, longer than 3 football fields, and towers roughly 76 meters. A blue whale, as massive as it is, would look like a minnow next to this steel behemoth.
First up, sheer weight. If we stacked blue whales onto the carrier like a blubbery Jenga tower, how many would it take to drag it under? The Ford weighs about 100,000 tons, equivalent to the weight of roughly 14,000 large elephants. And since a single blue whale clocks in around 120 tons, you'd need roughly 830 whales just to match its weight. But ships float thanks to buoyancy, so to actually sink it, we're talking closer to 1,700 whales, a line of marine mammals stretching over roughly 50 kilometers, if positioned end to end. That's comparable to the length of Manhattan, nearly 2.3 times. Now picture this. If you stacked those 1,700 whales belly to back, and with each whale having a body depth of 4.88 meters, you'd have a colossal tower of blubber reaching approximately 8.3 kilometers high. That's still nearly as tall as Mount Everest, which stands at roughly 8.8 kilometers. Anyway, back to sinking the carrier. What if the whales got aggressive? Could they ram the ship like living torpedoes? At top speed, a blue whale possesses about 4.8 million joules of kinetic energy, which is roughly equivalent to the explosive power of just over 1 kilogram of TNT. Now compare that to the attack on the USS Cole destroyer in 2000, which involved an explosion estimated to be equivalent to hundreds of kilograms of TNT, a force hundreds of times greater than the impact of a single full-speed blue whale. And even with that significant blast, the much smaller Cole didn't sink. So to even approach that level of destructive power against the massive and far more robust USS Gerald R. Ford through ramming alone, you'd need around 250 whales hitting simultaneously just to equal the force of a single modern torpedo. And since warships like the Gerald R. Ford class carrier are built to survive multiple torpedo hits, potentially anywhere from 3 to 6 well-placed strikes, the equivalent number of blue whales needed for a similar level of destructive force becomes truly staggering. Considering that the kinetic energy of a single speeding blue whale is only a fraction of a modern torpedo's explosive power, requiring roughly 250 whales to equal just 1 torpedo, you'd be looking at somewhere between 750 and 1,500 whales charging in a slow-motion stampede to match that level of damage. That's still a significant portion of the global blue whale population sacrificing themselves for a single, gloriously absurd attack. Now, what if they tried flipping the carrier from below? The Ford is longer than 3 football fields, and even with 11 whales lined up to span its length, they'd need to lift at least half its weight, 50,000 tons, to tip it. Assuming each whale can generate about 12 tons of upward thrust, that means you'd need roughly 4,200 whales all launching upward at the same time. Or maybe they could just push it sideways until it capsizes. To overcome the ship's stability, you'd need around 40,000 tons of lateral force, meaning roughly 3,300 whales shoulder to fin, executing the slowest, wettest rugby scrum in history. Here's the kicker. The entire global blue whale population is only estimated to be between 10,000 and 25,000 individuals, so any of these plans would require a significant portion of their species to pull off. Final verdict? The carrier wins, no contest. But the whales, they take home the gold for sheer spectacle. So, what other crazy scenarios are bouncing around in your head? Drop them in the comments. And hey, if you dug this, smash that like button and subscribe for more brain-tickling stuff.